Welcome back to ADHD Whiskey. My name is Matt, and today we are going through my top 10 whiskeys of 2022. If you're new here, you might be wondering, who is this fancy looking fat man sitting on a stool in front of a fake brick wall in his garage? Super solid question. Happy you asked. I'm just a super fat dude sitting in front of a fake brick wall in his garage. Today, I'm breaking down the main list, the major list, the big list. What is my 2022 whiskey of the year? We're about to find out. So hold on to your britches, bitches. We're about to rock this list from bottom to top, top to bottom. First, let me say this. I really wanted to put this whiskey on the list, but I couldn't do it because I blended this whiskey myself at Bardstown Bourbon Company this year. One of the prizes for winning World's Top Whiskey Taster in 2020 was I was able to blend my own blend with Steve Nally. I did that this year, early in 2022. It got bottled, released in their gift shop, and guess what? I friggin' love it. There's not that many bottles out there floating around, only a couple hundred or so. If I were an extra honest man, would I have put this on my list? No. Because I'm an extra honest man. And if I put it on my list, you'd think I was being dishonest. So my honesty makes me dishonest, but also makes me look honest. Because this does deserve a spot on my top 10 list. From the bottom of my enlarged heart, I absolutely love this blend. But guess what? Since I put this son of a bitch together with Steve Nally in Bardstown, Kentucky, I just can't put it on the list. I just can't do it. Now that we've got my gloating out of the way, let's get down to the real top 10 list, shall we? Number 10 on my list is a bourbon, but didn't make my top 10 bourbons list. How is that possible? I don't know. Look it. I just do things the way I do things, and if they don't seem like the way that I should do things to you, then guess what? You start a YouTube channel, smarty pants. In the top 10 bourbons video, I did not list this bourbon. But when I got to the top 10 whiskeys of 2022, I felt like I had to include it, even though it didn't make the list that it actually belonged in. The reason for its absence on the bourbon list is because it's a single barrel product and the barrels vary widely. Some of the barrels I've tasted are some of the best bourbons I've tasted in a very long time, like whiskey of the year stuff. Other barrels I've tried have just been like pretty good. Since there's a wide variation in the single barrel quality, I couldn't put it higher on the list. I just had to sneak it in at the end in the 10 spot. If you get your hands on a Lucky 7 Proprietor single barrel, the 14 or 15 year version, which is now available in 2023, I believe, these bad boys can be friggin' gangsters. 10-year single barrel, the Proprietor, is number 10 on my list of top whiskeys in 2022. My number 9 whiskey in 2022 was actually my number 5 bourbon in 2022. My number 9 whiskey belongs to a little product from the Jim Beam Distillery, Jacob's Well, Hardin's Creek, or Hardin's Creek, Jacob's Well, whichever way you want to put it. But no matter how you put it, I'm gonna put it like this. This son of a bitch is fantastic, and you'll love it if you love delicious, oaky, slightly peanutty, 108 proof bourbon whiskey from the state of Kentucky. Is it like a $200 bottle? It is. Is it super de-duper good? It is. Arriving in the number 8 spot on this World's Top Whiskey Taster's Best Whiskeys of 2022 list is my runner-up for Rye Whiskey of the Year. Coming in at the number 2 spot in the Rye Whiskey category is banging on the door of number 8 in the Whiskey of the Year category. It is Foregate Port Perry Perry. This is an 8-year-old 112.2 proof straight rye whiskey finished in Australian 24 barrels or something. It's a limited release and it's barrel finished. And guess where it finished? On the number 8 spot in my whiskey of the year. That Foregate made number 8, and it was my runner-up for Rye Whiskey of the Year. So that begs the question, Where in the world does my rye whiskey of the year fall on this top 10 list? Well, you won't have to wait long, because coming in at number 7 is this bad boy. It's a friggin' goat, and it is friggin' great. This is Prideful Goat 6-year cask strength Indiana straight rye whiskey that makes you bold and frisky. The Prideful Goat, my rye whiskey of the year, coming in at number 7 on this list of my top 10 whiskeys of 2022. We're approaching the top 5, but before we get to the top 5, I have to reveal number 6. And number 6 might come as a bit of a surprise to all of you viewers out there who like bourbons and ryes, because this isn't a bourbon or rye, this is an American whiskey. When I first reviewed this bottle, I liked it a lot. But guess what? I was a bit sticker shocked. I was like, $200 for a bottle of this? But then the more I drank it, the more I liked this. As this bottle's volume of whiskey has deteriorated slowly thanks to evaporation and my mouth, the more I've learned to enjoy it. And lately I started blind tasting it against some of my favorite bourbons of the year, and guess what? It did friggin' amazing. It did so good that it's earning my number 6 spot for whiskey of the year. Coming in at number 6 belongs to Orphan Barrel Fable and Folly. I honestly don't remember the actual score I gave this whiskey when I first reviewed it, but it doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter. Just like the Prideful Goat Rye, the more air this bottle got, the better it got. And nobody can argue with that. Am I right, Chris Hart? I think I went on and on about the ridiculous, stupid fake animal playing a harp on the front of the bottle, but the longer it played that harp, the more it sang my tune. Because guess what? I think I love this stuff. Will I pick up a second bottle of it? Absolutely, probably. I probably will. It's got a dusty, oaky, delicious, sweet oak note to it. The problem with the bottle is it's 90 proof. If this son of a bee were like 10 proof points higher, if this were a 100 proof offering, it would blow the lid off of all the things that had lids and would blow the zipper out of my tightest jeans. Fable and Folly, number 6 on my list. That brings us to our top 5. The number 5 whiskey on this list was almost number 6, but the low proof of the Fable and Folly let this whiskey slip by into the number 5 spot. And the number 5 spot belongs to my number 3 bourbon in 2022. It's Four Roses Small Batch Limited Edition 2022. This barrel strength bugger rings in just over 109 proof, and it is like the most delicious bird's nest you've ever tasted. It's like a bird's nest that was made out of oak, cinnamon, and alcohol. The weird thing about it is I absolutely love it, but at the same time I'm not sure if I love it, but I do love it. I love it so much, but also I'm so not sure how much I love it that I'm gonna have to hide it from myself and wrap it in cellophane before I drink the whole damn thing before February. So this limited edition Four Roses 2022 is wonderful, but it's also a bit of a mystery. Number 4 on my list is another bourbon. It's the runner-up for my bourbon of the year, and if you've been following along, you already know which bourbon I'm talking about. It's Knob Creek 18. It's the limited edition 30th anniversary release from Jim Beam honoring the 30th anniversary of Knob Creek. It's 18 years old, it's 100 proof, it's an oaky, friggin' delicious son of a bitchness, if you know what I mean. It comes in a box with a dangerous latch, but it's dangerously delicious when you put it down the hatch. We've made it to the top 3. If you've made it this far in the video, congratulations, you're a real trooper. And since you're that much of a trooper, just go that one extra step. Hit the subscribe button, you lazy son of a bitch. It's all I ask. It's all I ask. If you watch this video, hit subscribe. Come on, do it. Do it for a friend. And if you don't consider me a friend, just do it for a fat guy wearing a yellow tie. Coming in at number 3 is my bourbon of the year. Calumet Farm 16-year-old. I love Calumet Farm 16 years so much that I'm gonna go to a local store and pay way too much for one. I'm gonna go to my local store and be like, hey, that Calumet Farm on the shelf that you want $50 too much for, I'm your guy. That's for me. I know that I've been staring at it for months now and you haven't sold it, but guess what? Purple Shirt. Purple Shirt wants it. My runner-up bottle for Whiskey of the Year comes straight from the heart of Louisville, except for like also sort of comes from Indiana, but then also kind of California, but not necessarily Indiana or California or Louisville. It's kind of like one of those things where two super sweet, beautiful people source delicious whiskey from Indiana. They rebarrel that bitch, they blend it together, they taste it together, they probably make love together, and then they bottle it, and they're like, here, public, drink this. American Whiskey, batch number 9 from Old Carter. What in the heck? This thing is amazing. Old Carter American Whiskey batch 4 won my Whiskey of the Year in 2020. I haven't been able to acquire a bottle of Old Carter American Whiskey since the batch 4 bottle that I had, but guess what? 2 years later, Portsky got his hands on a bottle of batch 9. And guess what else? It's divine. If you've never tasted a boat anchor rope, go ahead and find yourself a local lake, sneak down to a dock in the middle of the night, and gnaw on a rope until you set a boat free. And then imagine that that rope you gnawed through is covered in caramel, marshmallow, sweet oak, and a ton of alcohol. Because this bad mother fudger comes in at 132.8 proof. It's nearly 133 proof, and it makes me want to jump through the roof. But fortunately for my roof, I still weigh 246 pounds, and the roof is in no danger. Unless, of course, I was dropped from an aeroplane, in which case, roof be fucked. Any of the Old Carter American Whiskeys are so friggin' good. It's so damn good. That brings us to numero uno, number 1. The Whiskey of the Year. My favorite whiskey in 2022. The best thing I drank and was able to acquire a bottle of. Were there other whiskeys that I sipped from 2022 that could have possibly put up a fight or maybe dethroned this bottle? Possibly. But a mere 1 or 2 ounce sample isn't enough for me to be like, this is my favorite whiskey. No way. So in order for it to earn Whiskey of the Year, I must be able to acquire it. I don't even think it would matter. I don't think that any of those whiskeys could have beaten it. And if they could have, it would have been a really close fight, like probably a split decision. My Whiskey of the Year I had a bottle of, but then I gifted it to a couple of friends of mine in Michigan. I sent my bottle to them so they could enjoy it, and they could review it, and they could see how good it was. So therefore I don't have a bottle with me. So standing in its place will be its predecessor. The bottle I'm about to show isn't the exact bottle because the bottle I'm about to show is a single barrel version of this product, but my 2022 Whiskey of the Year comes from a state shaped like a rectangle gone wrong. It is Jack Daniel's Coy Hill small batch. The small batch version came in a 375 milliliter and was 150 proof plus. That's going to wrap up my list for the top 10 whiskeys in 2022, and congratulations, Jack Daniel's. Your Coy Hill small batch rocked my world and absolutely 100% deserves the title of 2022 Whiskey of the Year. That wraps up all my list videos. Most disappointing whiskeys, best ryes, best bourbons, and best American whiskeys of 2022, with the champ being Jack Daniel's Coy Hill Small Batch. If you watched this entire video and chose not to hit the subscribe button, then shame on you. If you choose to hit the subscribe button now, then guess what? I reversed the shame, and I love you. Thank you so much for watching. A ton of great content coming in 2023, I promise. Thank you for becoming a Patreon member, patreon.com/ADHD Whiskey, and thank you for being you beautiful son of a bitch.